Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm going to be filming 3 videos. Please, I apologize in advance if you don't like watching multiple videos from me, and I have done it throughout my entire BookTube life, however you want to call it. I tend to upload a lot of videos at once. I know some people like to drag them out, but I don't know. I just want to share my opinions. So I do all of the videos at once, but I'll restrain myself and only upload 2 today and then 2 tomorrow. Monday and Tuesday was really sick. This is the first day that I've been able to go without coughing every second, and I've been really busy because this week is Christmas, and so I've been wrapping presents and doing last minute gift shopping and chores, and it was raining all day yesterday, which I am absolutely happy about, but at the same time dragging 2 kids out of cars to go to the Walmart and the bank and the mail and the post office and all that other stuff was a big old pain in the booty, and so I didn't enjoy yesterday because I was really sick. Blech. Anyways, so today I'm here to share with you, like I said, a few videos. The first one I want to do is my weekly wrap up is week 51, and this is also going to include the Cramathon wrap up. So with the Cramathon, which was hosted by Whitney over at Witty Novels, there was 6 challenges. The first challenge being read a ebook or listen to an audio. I happened to finish that challenge, which I'm very excited about. So obviously the picture will be here. So the first book I finished was The Swallow, a Ghost Story by Charisse Cotter. I think that's how you say the author's name. I just can't remember for the life of me. I don't know why, but you will see the cover, so you'll see the name. Anyways, this is a middle grade paranormal story with a deeper message. And the thing I like about middle grade is the fact that they can have dark content like death or addiction or depression or cancer or whatever, but it's well written, you know, and it's for little kids, and so there's always like some kind of uplifting hope kind of ending to the stories, whereas when you read YA or adult, their dark contemporaries tend to stay dark. And I enjoy, if I'm going to read a dark contemporary, I enjoy reading a middle grade version more because I get all the feels that I need to make me like the story, but at the same time I feel uplifted at the end, if that makes sense. And so this, like I said, was a paranormal middle grade, but at the same time it had a deeper message, and I just really enjoyed it. So there's 2 POVs in this story. We're going to talk about the first POV, which is Polly. I can't remember her last name. She's a 12-year-old girl. She's like the middle child, but not really. There are a bunch of siblings in her household. Her mother and father, I don't know if they work for the church or they're just really church people, like religious people, but they're also foster parents. And so they have a lot of kids of their own, and they foster a lot of kids. So Polly always feels neglected because her parents just don't have the time or the self-resources to enjoy the company of each child individually. Polly has a baby sister, Susie. She's got 2 twin brothers that are 8. They're Matthew and Mark. And then Polly is 12, and then she's got 2 older sisters, Moo and Goo. I don't know what their first names are. That's just their nicknames that she calls them. And then there's Lucy. So tons of siblings. Her parents just don't have time for her, and she feels neglected. But on the other hand, it's kind of like a contradiction because she feels invisible in her house and she wants to be paid attention to, but at the same time there's so much noise that she's always trying to like find a hidey place for herself. And one day she discovers that inside of her closet there's like a ladder that goes to a loft, and she always knew that the loft was there, but she never really noticed that there was a trap door above the loft which goes into the attic. And so one day she finds out that they have an attic, and that she goes up there and she is, you know, making herself a little nest of blankets and her favorite book, and she hears singing. And this is when the second POV comes into play, and the second person is Rose. Again, I don't know her last name, I forgot. But Rose, she's the next door neighbor, and somehow the attics are connected. Like, it doesn't talk about the house being like a duplex, but for some reason the attics are joined somehow. And so she can hear Rose in her attic, and they become friends through the attic wall, which I thought was hilarious. They also live behind a cemetery. Polly really, really wants to see ghosts. Rose has been seeing ghosts her entire life. She absolutely hates it. Polly wants to see them. They become really close friends in the story, and they go about an adventure and a mystery of trying to figure out how to help Rose's aunt find peace, because her aunt's a ghost and Polly wants to help. And it's just a really good story, and I really feel bad that I hadn't read it yet. I got it from NetGalley for free for, you know, an honest review, and I absolutely loved it. And that's normally what happens with the books that I hold on to forever. I get a book, I have good intentions of reading it, it falls to the wayside, and then I finally pick it up and I'm like, oh my god, why didn't I read this earlier? So yeah, I gave this book 4 stars. Definitely pick it up if you enjoy POVs that switch on and off. And the cool thing about this POV was actually you got everything. It was like watching a movie, because you see Polly talking, and then it'll switch to Rose, and Rose will say what she was thinking and then what Polly said afterwards. So you never miss if, you know, Polly was thinking about something while Rose's dialogue was going, because you get to see both sides of the same story within the same scene. I just really enjoyed that part. So definitely pick up A Swallow, or The Swallow, A Ghost Story, middle grade. It is really good. All right, the next challenge was to read a bind-up, which I didn't do because I only have one bind-up and I didn't want to read it. The third one was to finish a series or final book in a series. I didn't even touch the 2 books that I wanted to, which was The Library of Souls or Catacomb. This weekend I was just way sick, and I really just wanted to watch documentaries and lay down. And that's what I did. And so I skipped that one. I did do number 4, which was to read a book under 200 pages. This is called Come Closer by Sarah Gran. One thing I love about picking up books that I've never heard of before is you go into the book completely blind, and you don't have a bias on it. You don't have a negative outlook on it or a positive one. So you're not trying to get some kind of expectation out of it. You just pick it up on a whim. And with this book, you know, the cover, it says a new kind of psychological thriller, probably this year's scariest novel. Both are wrong. That's not what this is. This is an adult fiction about demon possession, which I gave this book 3 stars. I feel that Sarah Gran had a good idea, but she didn't fulfill the story the way I wished it would have went, you know, down. So the main character's name is Amanda, and she's married to Ed, and they've been married for like 2 or 3 years. She is an architect, and she wants her own firm, and so she's working at her job every day. Her husband crunches numbers. They have a little loft, you know, in an outskirts part of town, which was like an abandoned warehouse or whatever, that they renovated and made it into like an apartment. And so they're really happy in their life, or they should be. But Amanda's starting to feel unhappy, and she doesn't know why she feels unhappy. Maybe the relationship is becoming stagnant, or her life is the same old takeout, or whatever. But one day, her and Ed are in the kitchen, and they're eating, again, takeout, and they hear this tapping noise, like, but it's a constant. It never ends. It's never one tap. It's always like 2, kind of like something scurrying. So they think it's a mouse and they just kind of ignore it. But then they come to realize that when Ed is home alone, there is no tapping. But when Amanda is by herself, all she hears is tapping. And then a few months later, Amanda starts having weird dreams about this woman. And then she goes to order a book for her job, some kind of architecture book, and instead gets a "Are You Possessed by a Demon?" like self-help book in the mail. She doesn't think anything of it. She picks it up on a whim, going, what is this weird book? I will return it and ask for my architecture book. But then she starts reading it, and at the first part of the book, there's a quiz to see if you are possessed by a demon. And so she takes the quiz, and she's like, 3 out of 10. Okay, whatever. So maybe I'm going to be possessed. But she thinks it's a joke the entire book. And even when she keeps taking the test like months later and finds out more and more of the quiz is what's happening to her, she still flakes it off like, well, maybe it's just coincidence, or and then her relationship starts, getting really bad, and she's fighting with her husband all the time, and she knows deep down it's because she's possessed by a demon, but she doesn't want to do anything about it. It's like pity party, you know what I mean? Like, she hates being possessed. She wants to be able to do things herself, but at the same time she's a coward and doesn't feel like taking care of it, and then just kind of like lets the demon take over. It just drove me crazy. It was a very short book. It's 184 pages, but I wish more would have happened. Like, the possession was gradual over, I want to say, like almost a year's time. To me it seemed like it took a year. Maybe it was like 6 months, but it never really fulfilled anything. Like, the characters are pretty two-dimensional. The possession's not that scary. Things happen when she's possessed, and she just chalks it up again to coincidence, or maybe imagination, or there's no way that could have happened. It made me feel like she was Scully from the X-Files. Like, Scully has been abducted by aliens, but all like 13 seasons, she's like, well, it has to be, another explanation than aliens. It can't always be aliens. I don't even know if they really exist. Scully, you have been abducted. You have been implanted with stuff. They've taken your baby. There are aliens. So that's how I feel with this book. Amanda, you're being possessed by a demon. Go to somewhere and get it fixed immediately. But she doesn't. And so it kind of drove me crazy. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. The 5th challenge was to finish a book that you hadn't finished. And I didn't get to that. I was trying to read Illuminae. Now here's the thing with Illuminae. Everybody who's read this raves about this book. I can see why it's amazing. I'm at 200 pages. I'm at a part where it is very interesting, but it's kind of slow. Like, when I picked it up, I was like flying through it. I got through 180 pages extremely quickly because, again, it's IMs and, the format is easily, readable. But I put it down for about a week because I wanted to read other things. And now I'm trying to pick it back up, and it's just not interesting anymore. Not that I'm not going to continue reading it, because I am. And I'll probably love it when I get to the ending. But every time I pick it up to like read, I'll get, a couple pages in, and I'm like, I don't really want to read it right now. Because the excitement of the hype of the book and the hype of like what happened at the beginning, like the action of what happened at the beginning, is simmering down right now. Like, I'm at a plateau in the storyline. Everybody is confused at what's going on. There's like a conspiracy going on, and all the different ships aren't really communicating. And so everyone, is gossiping, and there's rumors flying, but it's just talk. There's no action going on right now. So the talking is getting kind of boring. But I am looking forward to continue reading it. And so, yes, I do want to finish it. I just didn't. And then we have The 6th challenge was to read an entire graphic novel series. I didn't even pick up the, what's it called? The Sandman graphic novels. That's what I wanted to read, but I never did it. And then last was read 5 books total. So I read 2. And then the last book that I read last week was Hotel Ruby by Suzanne Young. I wasn't able to actually count this for the Cramathon because I finished it about 10 o'clock, which wasn't, you know, officially, Cramathon didn't start for 2 more hours, but I did finish it on Friday. And this is about a girl named Audrey who is going on a road trip with her father and her brother. They're heading up to some place to stay with their grandparents. The mom just passed away 3 months ago. She had a stroke, and so the family's just really distraught. Everybody just feels like they're not going to be able to live anymore. Like they all want to die. There's no way that they're going to be able to live without their mom. The husband's so distraught that he feels like he can't actually take care of his kids anymore, and that's why he's sending them to their grandparents, because he just wants to wallow at home by himself and mourn his wife. And so he says, it's just for the summer. I'll come and get you when, you know, school starts. Don't worry about it. But Audrey and her brother think that he's lying and that he's just going to push them off onto their grandma and then be done with them. But so they're heading up to the grandma's, and the dad decides that he's going to stop at Hotel Ruby, which is this opulent hotel kind of in the boonies towards their grandparents' house, but he's too tired to drive anymore, and so they stop there. And while they're there, the dad realizes that he really enjoys this hotel, and so he extends the stay 2 more days just to kind of get, you know, more of a relaxation, but also to kind of bond with his children before he takes off. Now, Audrey has kind of a weird vibe about the hotel. She thinks it's a little creepy. She's curious to know why she's on the 13th floor and her brother and her father are on the 6th floor. And if you have ever heard about the 13th floor, most hotels don't have one. I don't know any hotel that I've ever stayed at that actually had a 13th floor because it's supposed to be superstitious. And so she's actually put there by herself, but she doesn't understand why. And whenever she says, oh, I'm on the 13th floor, the staff go, ooh, like they're all like, ew, you're... So that's, again, another creepy factor. You're like, oh my gosh, what does the 13th floor mean? And so this is a paranormal mystery thriller, I want to say. So Audrey, you know, is spending her 3 days at this hotel. She's meeting people. Elias, she meets on the first night of her stay at this hotel, and she's like swooning hard over him. She thinks he's like incredible, and there's like the insta love going on. But when she meets him, she kind of finds out things little by little that the hotel isn't what she thought it was going to be, and I was completely floored with the ending. Like, I want to say with the last like 10-15%, I was like, oh no, I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. And it totally happened that way. So I'm really excited about this book. It's a standalone, so if you're looking for a nice, creepy, hotel haunted kind of paranormal story, definitely pick this one up. I quite enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was pretty amazing. All right, and that was it for my weekly wrap-up. I read the 3 books. And what did you guys read over last week and the weekend? Did you do Cramathon?